Okay, let's go ahead and build that intake form, intake flow. And the first section is grabbing the households that I own, the running user owns, and display them in a data table. So one question first, like how do we know that an account is of type household? In Nonprofit Cloud, there is this object called party relationship group. And this is an extension object to the account object. If I were to create a new party relationship group, we'll have to specify an account. So the way this works is that you select an account, a business account, and you say this account here is a household. So this is how you tell that an account is a household. You could have a customized different way to tell that an account is a household from the account right away. We're going with the out-of-the-box functionality for now. So to get the household accounts in the system, I'm gonna need to collect the party relationship groups that are households. And then from this list of party relationship groups, I'm going to grab every one of those accounts. So it's going to be a collection of records, a collection of party relationship groups. And then each one of those groups has an account associated with it. So that list of accounts is the accounts that are households in the system. So let's start with a new screen flow. Starting from scratch and then a screen flow. Just one quick thing I'm gonna do first is to grab the running user's user ID and store it in a variable. You don't have to do that. You can always access global variable user .id at any time. But one edge case scenario that I came across, particularly if you're going to add this flow on an Experience Cloud site, we're not doing this this time, but if that happens, then sometimes the session times out while the screen flow is running and the user continues to use the flow, at some point the flow references the global variable user ID, but the user is already timed out, so it doesn't have access to the user ID, so it fails. And that's why I take the user ID early on and I just store it in a variable, because the variable continues to be available throughout the flow if the session times out and the flow doesn't crash. So I'll just do that. It's an edge case scenario. You might want to do it. You don't have to do it. Just remember that idea around the session timeout. Let's assign user ID and I'll create a new variable. That's text variable user ID of data type text, and I will take the running user. So this is the global variable user here. And we can access their ID here. So I'm taking the user ID and I'm putting it in a variable, and then I'm going to use this variable instead of this running user ID. If this was on an Experience Cloud site, I would have also repeated this, but I would have created another variable, contact ID, and I would have accessed the running user contact ID, and I would have stored that as well. We're not doing this this time. Okay, now let's go ahead and collect these party relationship groups. So I'm going to use a get element to grab these records. So I'll say get party relationship groups, and that's party relationship group here. We don't need all of them. We only need the households. So we need only the party relationship groups that are of type households. We need all of them, and we only need the ID and we need the account. So pretty much everything we need from this is the account ID. We don't need anything else. And now that we have the list of party relationship groups, now we need the list of accounts that have these IDs. So first I need the list of IDs, the list of account IDs, and then using that list of account IDs, we're gonna go and grab the list of accounts. So to extract the account IDs from that collection, we're gonna use a transform element. Let's do the source data and target data first. Where are we getting the IDs from? We're getting them from this party relationship groups. That's the only collection that we have. And then what's the target data? We have a list of account IDs, and that's a collection. So we're gonna create a new text. An ID is a text, and then that's a collection. So that's multiple IDs. Now, what we need to extract from this collection is the account ID, and we need it to go into that collection. So what this is going to do is that it's going to create a collection of texts. Each one of those texts has the account ID. And now I'm going to name this household IDs. Okay. Now we've got the household IDs. Now we can go ahead and get these actual accounts now. So far we only have the IDs. We don't have the actual accounts. So we're gonna grab get households, the actual households. So let's say get households. Households are accounts. We could probably say household accounts, whatever meaningful naming we need here. All right. So we need accounts where the account ID is in that list of account IDs that we got earlier, household IDs. We collected a list of account IDs, and then we're saying any account in the system that has an ID in that list, get it. So we're getting every account in the system where the ID is in that collection of IDs that we retrieved earlier. And then we're gonna get all of these household accounts, and then we can sort them by name. Okay, now we don't want to grab all fields. The only thing that we need is the name. We don't need anything else. If you don't need all of the fields, just don't grab all of the fields. All right, now after we have the list of household accounts, we could add a screen here to display that list of accounts. So let's add the screen first. That's household accounts screen, or maybe select household screen. Let's hide the header, and then for the footer I'm gonna hide pause, and because this is the first screen I'm gonna hide previous as well. Now here I will add, I typically add a display text up top here that says something, but because we're adding a data table that has a title in itself, so probably we don't need a display text. We can add the data table right away. For the data table, I'll just name this data table underscore select household, and then I will name this, I'll give it a label select household. Now it doesn't show select household up top here, but if I click on use label as the table title up here, then it's gonna show up here. And what data is it displaying? It is displaying the accounts that we got from household accounts, and then we want them to be able to search, so we're gonna add this search bar here. And then we need them to be able to select only one record, and we need let's not add the required for now. And for the columns, we need to display only account name, and the account name is going to show up like this. If you need to give it a custom name, the account name is just going to show up, or like any field you add here is going to show up the actual label. If you want to give it a custom label, you can add it here, household name, and then done. So now it shows household name. We don't need to do anything else here for now. Let's click done. Let's save this. Intake form, because I've been building this, I'm just adding the number 3, but you can just name it intake form. Okay, let's debug this to see if it's working. Let's see if we have any problems so far. Okay, run. It's working. I'm getting accounts. They're being displayed on a data table just fine. All right, one last thing here we need to do is to think just ahead for a little bit. I already think of this now because I built it before, but you might just go ahead and then we'll stumble into this, and then we may come back and then fix it. But I will introduce it to you now. That is, we're gonna add a button on this screen here where we add new households. So after someone adds a new household, we need that new household to show up in that data table. But in this data table, we are displaying the accounts that we got. So eventually we're gonna have like a path down here where we add a new household, and then that new household, after it gets added, we're gonna return it back to this screen. We need that new household to show up here. So this is something to think about. We're gonna fix it at a later time. For now, this is all for this part of getting households.